Hello everyone, Ian Doran here, Wine Library's wine director, back with another episode of Behind the Vine. And I'm going to be honest, I have a cheat sheet here because I don't speak Portuguese. And I'm going to have a hard time remembering the real content of this stuff if I don't have my little cheat sheet here. So forgive me if you see me reading from it. But today we have two really fun and interesting wines. A little bit of a history lesson on the Douro Valley because, you know, everybody might take it for granted, actually, Douro Valley, kind of an old historical, growing region of the world. Actually, port production was kind of where the most famous part of it is. It started in 1675, and the region was actually had a charter established in 1756, making it exclusive for fortified wines, aka port, and the varying different types of port. So flash forward 230 years, where port monopolized the area to 1986, when Portugal joined the European Economic Community. It became overturned because you couldn't have the monopoly there, so they were able to start producing table wines again. But back during World War II, one of the port houses, Ferreira, which is a pretty well-known port brand, they had a gentleman by the name of Fernando Nicolau de Almeida, who traveled to Bordeaux during World War II to explore red winemaking and white winemaking, for that matter, just to kind of see what was the difference between producing fortified wines and dry table wines. So around that time he started dabbling, and there were a couple other people during the 70s that really tried, and 80s, that tried to kind of bring the table wine thing to the forefront, but it wasn't really until the 1990s where there was a big overhaul in the industry, and mostly port houses started making dry red table wine. So you have 300 plus years of history, but really only 20 or so, maybe really less than 20, of what you would call a good concentration of dry red table wine being produced. And in that short period of time, where it was 100% fortified wine to 0% dry table wine, it's now 50-50. So that's a pretty big swing in a really short period of time. So obviously there was a pent-up demand for the dry red table wine coming out of this area. And just to kind of give you an idea, Napa Valley is 43,000 acres of planted vine. Douro is 93,000 planted acres. Just to kind of give you guys a frame of reference, we all see Napa Valley wine all over the place. But you also can see that the production of Douro Valley is not small by any stretch of the imagination. So they're actually producing more dry red table wine in Douro than they would be in Napa Valley. So that's kind of an interesting thing to look at there. So the first wine is, we have a white wine. The name of this winery, by the way, is Conceito. This is a lower in the line of wines that they produce, called Contraste. This is the white. The white is composed primarily of two varieties that they list as Codega. Codega actually goes by two other names, Rupiro and Syria. And there's another variety that they use in this called Ravigato, which is a very, very useful port variety for white port. Unbelievable aromatics. And Codega is also used in white port, but Ravigato is listed as a very good white port variety. So, like I said, right away, aromatics just hit you. Very Viognier-like, very floral, a little waxy, a little lanolin-y. But there's a nice freshness, a nice minerality to the wine. A lot of slate, a lot of schist in this area. So, that waxy lanolin-y, Rhone variety characteristic kind of carries over a little bit, but there's nice soft acidity to it, like really plush. It's not creamy at all, but it has that nice, really kind of warming, round mouthfeel. I really like this wine a lot. When I first tasted this, I thought this was super interesting. So folks who drink, White Côte de Rhône or Saint-Joseph Blanc or things like that need to try this. I think this is kind of, sometimes Rhone whites can be a little bit cloying. This is not at all. It's really well balanced. Everything I read about these two varieties, because I don't really know much about them, it seems like this is going to be a short drinking window. So this is something to drink over the next 12 months. But Not a bad cold weather white wine too. This has got some body. This has got some texture. You know, I know that this may not be white wine season, but definitely something super interesting and worth checking out. So, yeah, that's a good bottle of wine. So the next one is the red, and this is Contraste Red. It's composed of 4 varieties, primarily Tempranillo, which locally they call Tinto, Touriga Franca, and Touriga Nacional. And it's interesting, these varieties kind of are, they relate them as they would Cabernet Franc and Cabernet Sauvignon to each other. You know, Franc being a more aromatic, lighter variety, and Cabernet Sauvignon being the hardier, richer variety of the two. So you have Franca, Cabernet Franc, and then Nacional, Cabernet Sauvignon. So. Now, I don't know how many of you have had Portuguese wines. This, to me, has that very classic, pretty, floral. You don't really get so much of a fruity nose as almost more of like a... You get a little bit of fruit, but almost like the essence of fruit, or like the more of like a flowery, you know, like a wild strawberry kind of component, but it's not wild strawberry that you're getting out of this. So almost like a Pinot Noir-esque style nose. Great acidity in this wine. And I think that Portuguese red table wines have kind of built a reputation of being cheap. A lot of $5, $6, $7 stuff in the store. You know, obviously, you know, $5, $6, $7, you're getting great drinking wine. I mean, these wines are beautiful. These wines are a lot more money. These are $20 by comparison. But I think they're worth every penny that you spend on them. There's really good concentration of flavor. This red, I think, is going to open up nicely. I might actually recommend decanting this for a half hour, just to kind of get it going in the right direction. Before I forget, there's also a 4th variety in this called Susau. Susau is a color. It's a darker a variety. You'll get a lot of color out of it, and also produces very sweet flavors, and you're getting that on the back end. I could definitely see where a lot of those sweet flavors are coming from. There is some dry tannins in this wine, but they're just kind of present and non-intrusive at all. Really good acidity, though. I mean, this is a great food wine. You know, richer foods. I might even go so far as to say recommending this for Thanksgiving dinner. A lot of red fruit characteristics. A lot of sweet, you know, raspberries and strawberries on the palate. You know, a lot of really good, fun red fruit flavors, and I think that really pairs well with it. But it's the acid that makes me say this would really work well with Thanksgiving dinner. Cut through some of that fattiness, some of that heavy richness that you have going on with a lot of the foods. You know, no objections to, say, honey-baked ham, something like that. Something rich, something heavy. This has got a lot of backbone to really divide through all that stuff. So, 2 really fun, different wines. A little bit more information in the email as well. Definitely check it out. We'll see you guys next time.